Warning, this podcast may contain themes of eating disorders, depression, anxiety, mental health, and other sensitive topics. Your discretion is advised. Resources will be linked in the description box below. Hi everyone, my name is Chelsea Garman. I'm a senior human services and counseling major and a second year on the BLT for BonCon Rep.
Hi, my name is Caroline Hardwick. I'm currently a junior and I'm majoring in human services and counseling and psychology, and this is my first semester on the BLT as a BonCon Rep.
Hi, my name is Celia. I am a nursing major here at Lindsay Wilson. I am a sophomore, and this is my first year as a BonCon Rep.
Hey guys, my name is Brianna Embry. My major is interdisciplinary studies. My emphasis are history, communication, and hold on for that. History, communication, and English. Sorry. This is so bad. Okay. And this is my I am a senior, and this is my first year on the BLT.
Bree is our guest speaker for this wonderful module.
Today we are going to talk about physical health. We've previously talked about what wellness is and mental health, and now we are diving into the topic of physical health. Alright. Charles, would you like to start off with the definition?
Sure. So here we have physical health as being defined as the condition of your body, taking into consideration everything from the absence of disease to fitness level, and is critical for our overall well-being. It can be affected by our lifestyle, our diet, level of physical activity, and behavior. And it's also important that we do recognize that everybody has a different definition of physical health. And so if you all want to talk about like what physical health is to each of us, that might be kind of what we can dive into.
Yeah. So growing up, I was an athlete. I played softball and basketball, and so for me, like growing up, I always heard, oh, well, physical wellness is being in shape and playing sports and things like that. But in all honesty, now that I'm in the nursing program, I see that physical health is just so much more than that. It's making sure you stay healthy, like injury free and things like that. Because when I would play sports and I would get hurt, I would continue to play because I thought like being physically healthy, it was still just being active constantly, but in reality it's making sure your body's healing, and it's making sure that you are balanced throughout all. Yes, you still have to be active, you have to at least walk or things like that, but it's so much more than that. It's so much more than just going out and playing sports. It's taking care of yourself, and it's making sure that your body has what it needs, because you could go out and you could run 4 miles a day, but if you don't eat, there's no balance there. So
similar to Celia, except technically not an athlete. But like when I was younger, I was involved in like little league, like basketball and softball, and like that kept me active. And then in high school, I was involved in middle school and high school, I should say. I was involved in my marching band. I marched Videophone, and then my sophomore, junior, and senior year, I was the drum major. And I know there's like, what's the word? Not a stigma, like or a stereotype. There's like a stereotype that like marching band isn't like physical activity. I think Charles can attest, because she was in marching band too. It is physical activity like to the extreme. I don't care what anyone says. Yeah. So that's what I did like in high school to keep up with like physical health, physical activity, and now it's a different story. I definitely need to be more active. I probably need to go to the gym more, go outside more, and that's something I actually am currently working on. It's one of my New Year's resolutions. Yeah.
I will attest to that. Yes, marching band is very physically demanding. I did do like some sports in like elementary school, like baseball, softball, a little bit of tennis, but most of mine was definitely marching band and color guard, and it was probably the most intense thing I did for sure. And nowadays I don't do any sports on campus, but I try just to like go to the gym regularly and just kind of try to do strength training and some like cardio just for like cardiovascular health reasons, and just trying to keep up what I can. So.
Well, for me, I've been doing sports since beginning of time. Feels like so. As growing up, like I've been, of course, did everything. But then also, like as I get older now, I see that it's not just for my physical health. Like not just like me moving around. Of course, that is the aspect of it. But also like knowing that I should go to a doctor's office. Like you get regular checkups. Like make sure like I'm drinking enough water, which I kind of don't. But it's okay. I'm getting there. So just making sure you're still doing everything you need to do for your body. Not, of course, not just exercising, but also like everything else. So making sure like your blood work's doing good, like all that fun stuff too.
I like that you brought up the topic of like going to the doctor and stuff, because I do think that when people think of physical health, they think of like, and we've talked about this before on other podcasts, or like abs or a bunch of muscles. And for some, that is true, but then also everyone has a different body type. So they could be physically fit and not look like that.
Yes.
So while researching for this podcast, I was like asking the question, what can be considered physical health? And I didn't realize that physical health could be all of these different things that came up when I searched it. So it says that physical health can be considered as sleeping well, eating well, being physically active, having good hygiene, and getting enough relaxation. And then also I was researching, it said that physical wellness involves making good choices when it comes to alcohol, flu and cold prevention, illness prevention, nutrition, physical activity and body movement, sexual health, sleep, and stress. I feel like, and I'm guilty of this too, but when you think of like physical health, like I said, being active outside, playing sports, going to the gym. But when it comes to going to the doctor and illness prevention and nutrition and sexual health, you know, those are all aspects of our physical activity and physical health. So I just think it's really interesting to see the different dynamics.
Yeah, I really, I agree with that, just because, you know, yes, you can be physically fit and you can be going to the gym every day and working out, but if you're not getting enough sleep for your body, if you're not eating healthy, like in the aspect of eating enough, you're not going to feel physically well. You're actually going to be more tired, you're going to be fatigued, you know, things like that, just because your body is working off calories that you don't have. Your body's running on energy that you don't have. So being physically healthy is a lot more than just going to the gym every day and, you know, lifting weights.
I like that list you included, because ones that I've definitely neglected a lot are sleep and rest in high school and college, and those are things I feel like we forget about, and it's like, oh, we're fine, we just need to keep going, we're wasting time by sleeping or resting, but it's really important that we get that like reset.
I definitely think as college students, you kind of touched on this, I think we put homework and classes and sports or extracurricular activities above sleep and rest. I know that I have done that, and let me tell you, if I do not get enough sleep, watch out. I can be very grumpy in the mornings, so definitely, and I struggle with sleeping well, like I hardly ever get a good night's sleep. And the difference in getting a good night's sleep the next morning, I get up earlier, eat breakfast, you know, I'm excited to go to class, and then having a bad night's sleep, I'm like dragging the entire day. And it's just crazy to think that how you sleep or rest can affect so many different things in your day-to-day life.
Yeah. With me, with eating in high school, like I needed none of my homework, because like of course in high school, like you had class all day and then you eat. Then you would have practice, or at least I did. And then after that, then I would go home, do my homework, and I would not eat until I got all my homework done. And I realized, like, this is like a really bad process for you to have. And I just like, I knew the process of like, Bree, take a break. You need to do whatever you need to do first, and then you go back to your homework. I think in my mind that I should have my homework done first and then eat. So now that I got to college, like it's gotten so much better. Like I would eat first, and then I would go and do my homework. I got a routine with all my friends, and we would go eat. So that was really good for myself to know to eat something first and then do my homework. So yeah.
So like we talked about earlier, like, you know, visiting doctors and things and getting a physical checkup, like you were on average, supposed to get a physical checkup every year. And that's just to make sure, you know, nothing has occurred in the past year that could cause health issues. So it is so important for us to make sure we're on top of that. You know, I know that most people hate going to the doctors, because I'm definitely one of them. I feel like every time I go to the doctor, like my issue is I like to WebMD everything. And so, you know, what normally comes back from WebMD is that I have cancer after every single illness that I ever have. So for me, I don't like to go to the doctor, because I'm gonna be like, I WebMD'd it, I know I got cancer, they're going to just confirm it. But, you know, obviously that's not true. But it is so important for women, you know, to go and get a checkup. Once you hit 21, that's when you're supposed to start checkups. You know, for men, it's the same thing. You have to stay on top of these things, because that can actually prevent you from being physically healthy, in the aspect of if that illness gets worse, you're not going to feel the same as what you did when you were healthy. So it's always important to go to the doctor, you know, even doctors such as like dentists and like eye doctors and things like that. That's also helping your physical health.
Yeah, I like that you touched on how we were supposed to get physicals every year, and like even going to the eye doctor, because I'm so blind. It's honestly scary, like how bad my vision is, and I've gone to the eye doctor like 2 or 3 times the past few weeks, so like it just reminded me when you said that. But I know that I think people take vision so for granted, especially me, you know, but like this past week, like I ran out of contacts, and I thought, and my glasses are like super scratched up, and like they're not the same prescriptions. Like I was super worried about like being able to see, and that is a part of your physical health, and I do think a lot of people take that for granted. And then also this podcast, you know, the whole main idea of it is wellness, and we've talked about mental health and how if your mental health isn't good, it affects your physical health. Well, it's the same thing. If your physical health isn't up to your standards or what it should be or considered healthy, your mental health is not going to be good. That's why in my experience with getting physicals, they ask questions like, how is your mental health? Are you having any suicidal thoughts? You know, and I just think that those two, your physical health and mental health, they correlate. And if one is good and one's positive, the other's going to rise up. And if one's negative, then the other one's going to fall down.
Yeah, because I mean, if you think about it, like when we're the most stressed out, you know, like for me, when I get stressed out, I don't eat. I physically cannot eat. It makes me sick. Like today, I was stressing about my exams. I went to eat lunch, and I was like, I can't eat this. I'm going to throw up because I'm so stressed out. And you know, we don't realize it, but like mental health affects every part of our life. It affects our sleeping patterns. It affects our, you know, stress levels raise, you know. So for us to be physically healthy, we also have to take care of our mental health, because we need that sleep, we need that nutrition, we need like that physical activity, because I also lose motivation to do anything when I'm stressed out or when I'm anxious or when I'm depressed. I lose all motivation, and that just makes my physical health plummet. I also know that like going back to the illness prevention, cold and flu season is like a big thing, you know. I, for one, am one of those people that I refuse to take medication until I'm like laying on the floor. I don't like to take it. I don't know why. I always have. But it's so important that if you do need that medication, like whether it's like Tylenol or ibuprofen or like, you know, your stress medication, it's always important to stay on top of things like that. Not to depend on it, but when you need it, it's okay to take it. It took a long time for me to realize that. It took me laying on the floor, like crying with a headache to take Tylenol. That's just how I am. But it's important to stay on top of things like flu season and cold season. And it's important for you to stay active during that, because if you don't, it actually messes with your lungs and the rest of your body systems more.
That's funny that you mentioned that. I think I've mentioned it in a previous episode, I'm not for sure, but I work in a local pharmacy here in Columbia, and before working at the pharmacy, I was like Celia, I refused to take medicine. Like I would literally rather sit there in agonizing pain than take medicine. I don't know why, but then now working at a pharmacy, and seeing how medicine can alleviate pain so quick, I'm like, give it to me, give it to me. And like, the other day, like I was having really bad stomach cramps, and I like didn't take any medicine that morning, and I got to work, and somebody was like, why don't you take ibuprofen? And I took ibuprofen, gone. Like, so if you're one of those people, take the medicine. It's gonna help.
Promise it is okay. I know, like with COVID, I personally did not get COVID throughout the 2 years that it was happening. Like, it's still going on. My sister got it, and she said that the first time she had it, she's had it 3 times. First time she had it, all she did was lay in bed, and she actually got pneumonia from it because she wasn't up being active like you're supposed to. The second time, she was able to get up and walk around and stuff like that. She still had issues with her lungs and stuff. Third time, she lay in bed one day, and then after that, she was trying to be as active as possible, and when she was over it, she had no issues. So it's so important that even when you're sick and you're feeling bad, you might not feel up to it, but it's still good to at least walk and get up and move and not just lay on the couch, because it does more harm to you.
That's another big thing. Like at the pharmacy, when a patient comes in and they have flu or COVID, like the pharmacist usually says, now make sure that you're getting up and you're not laying down the whole time. Like get your lungs up and moving. And my brother actually had COVID, I think it was 2 weeks ago, and I stayed away. I'm good. But anyway, like my parents, like I would call them, I'd be like, is Griffin up? And they'd be like, yes, like he's walking around in his room and he's moving. You know, I just think it's super important, because I know when I'm sick, the last thing I want to do is get up and move. But I think it's important to realize that the longer you lay and kind of just stay in the sickness, you're not going to get any better, and it's actually going to make you worse. Yeah. And I didn't really realize that until like working at a pharmacy, which is crazy.
Yeah, actually, I had COVID last January, and I was actually really fine. Like, I was good. But then I stayed in the basement downstairs, like, it's kind of where we had like a little apartment kind of style down there. So I kind of moved and walked around, and like, I was doing just fine. But I got it again in last December, and it hit me like a truck. And I tried to move around, but like it was so bad. Like I went to the doctor like the day like I found out that I had it, and my fever was like so high, and I was like I could not move. But like the last couple of days, like 'cause I got like literally around Christmas, I broke out of quarantine on Christmas, so that was good. So I got to move around, see everybody, and move around. But like that last time, it equally killed me. I was like, oh Lord, I wish someone worse than me. It was bad. It's bad, y'all.
And also, I think another big thing. On the topic of physical health, sickness and illness, no matter how physically fit or unfit you are according to society, an illness is going to affect you differently. I mean, like with COVID and even with flu, young people pass away every year from it, and like these are healthy people. So I think another big thing, which not to get on a whole rant with the COVID topic, but definitely with the pandemic that happened and is currently still going on with COVID, it's made me realize how important vaccination is, and washing your hands, taking care of yourself. So that's why I feel very important about the topic of physical health. It's not just being fit, going to the gym. It's taking care of yourself and taking care of others, wearing your mask for others. That all benefits into physical health.
Yep. I very, very much agree.
Preaching.
Okay. So the next few things we're going to talk about are like what can determine physical health and what is good physical health. So some determinants include like social and economic environment, as well as our physical environment, and then our personal individual characteristics and behaviors. A lot of research talks about like how social class can play into like what resources you have to like improve your mental or physical health, like maybe access to a gym or to certain foods. Physical environment, maybe like your home life, that can definitely contribute to it, because like what we were talking about, how mental health and physical health really go hand in hand. And then individual characteristics and behaviors. Genetics can play a lot into physical health as well, whether it's determining, like whether you have been born with a disease or just like how your body reacts to certain foods or environments. That plays a big part into it. And then with what is good physical health, a person who has good physical health is likely to have bodily functions and processes that are working at their peak. And this is not only due to not just an absence of disease, but also things like regular exercise, balanced nutrition, adequate rest, all things we were talking about earlier. And positive physical health habits can help us to decrease our stress and lower our risk of disease and increase our energy, which is something that's very important for us as college students, because stress and getting sick and just not having energy is something that we experience a lot, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that definition, or that you said about how good physical health is when, what did it say? Our bodily functions and processes are working at their peak, which, we touched on this before, and I've said it multiple times throughout this episode. But growing up, and especially it's so prevalent in the media, is when people think of physical health, they do think of normally skinny or muscular people. And I think that definition is the true definition of physical health, is when your bodily processes and functions are working at their highest peak. And for those of you that are listening, like, I want you to think about that, because I know that in today's society, which we've talked about this before, and I feel like each episode it correlates with the other, which is why this podcast is about wellness. But like I mentioned, in social media and the entertainment industry, people that we see on television or movies, or like on our Instagram or Facebook, Twitter, whatever it is, certain body types are pushed for us to look at. And I feel like they want us to think, oh, I need to look like this. So just think about that definition. If your body processes and functions are working how they should, your physical health is fine. And that's something that I need to remind myself of.
We all do.
And one of my favorite things about physical health is it comes in so many different versions. You can do so much to keep yourself active and to keep yourself healthy. Whether it's going on a hike, or whether it's playing a sport that you like, whether it's literally dancing. It can be anything. And I just like that so much, because people are like, oh, well, I'm going to the gym to get physically fit. You don't have to go to the gym. As long as you're out doing something, you're staying active. You're getting that physical health. I can't even. You know what I'm saying? You're getting that activeness that you need in your life. And, I like going to the gym. I really do. But if I could choose how to take care of myself, I would like to do yoga, and I like to go on hikes and things like that. I don't like to necessarily lift weights, because I'm not really worried about, building muscle. I just want to keep myself in shape. That's all I care about. It's not the building muscle to make me look ripped. I don't care about that. So it's just so wonderful that you can do anything pretty much, and you will still be, swimming during the summertime. I love going to the lake. I love going out on the boat and swimming out in the lake. It's my favorite thing to do. But that's considered, that's still being active. That's still getting that physical health that you need.
Yeah. And kind of going off that, I feel like with physical health, we often think about, the things that, we want to be able to do, or, that we can't do yet. But I feel like it's very important just to be able to with physical health, thank your body for what you can do, whether you can just walk, or you're saying doing yoga, hiking. It doesn't necessarily have to be going to the gym every day, being able to run 4 miles or 5K, or lifting 200 pounds. And just being able to thank your body for what it can do is super important.
Yes. I'm really glad that you brought that up, because like I mentioned earlier, vision is a privilege. Speaking is a privilege. Being able to walk, being able to move correctly, normally, that is all a privilege, and that is part of our physical health. And I feel like when I say we, I am speaking for myself. I don't want you to think I'm just targeting you. But, like, that is something I take for granted. And, you know, with Bonner working at the school systems, you see kids that have disabilities. And, you know, it makes me think, I take what I'm blessed with so for granted. And I'm lucky that I have all of my 5 senses and can live life normally, because some people can't. And I just think that physical health can be taken so for granted sometimes. And like sitting here listening to you all, it's like made me realize, like, yeah, I do take it for granted.
Yeah, it's my dream to be a pediatric nurse practitioner, and I volunteer at CCK, and going to those weekends and seeing those kids, like, we take for granted the little things that we are able to do on a daily basis, and you know, and these kids are just so excited to go and do all of these things that they normally don't get to do because they don't have the means to be able to. And so, like, for me, it always puts a smile on my face to get to see those kids, like, finally, you know, riding a horse when they don't get to do that at home, or going swimming in a pool, things like that. And it really just makes me not only feel grateful for everything that I'm able to do, but it also makes me so happy to get to see those kids finally experience it as well.
So, on the topic of physical health, I think that as a society, we are quick to judge others, including ourselves. We are quick to judge ourselves. But I think when we see people walking down the street and they might be a bigger size or an extreme smaller size, that also could be, like that definition said, their bodily functions or processes may not be working like they are supposed to. You never know how their genetics play into their body and how it functions. So I think that definitely we need to be aware of that, consciously, that just because someone might be bigger or smaller doesn't mean that it's their diet. It could physically be something to do with their body and its functions.
And also to add to that, we just don't never know what someone is going through. And I think and as a society, we're just so quick to judge people, and I hate that so much. I don't know if we just do that just because it's just an instinct to do that, or what. But like, it just, you really don't know what someone's going through. You, like as you said, it could be like a genetic disorder, just could be anything. Like, you just know they could be just struggling that internally too, and just like they are feeling bad already. We don't have them feeling more bad than we're already talking about it. So like, I feel like as people, we need to think back for a second and try to realize what we have going on and what they have going on also, to make sure we see what they're going through, and we can maybe see what's going on, what they see too. We will make sure that we feel compassion for them too. Be kind always.
What you just said reminded me of something. It's crazy how things work out, but I was scrolling through my Facebook today, and someone had shared a post on Facebook, and it was about the 5-second rule. And it said, if somebody has something in their teeth in 5 seconds, they can fix it. And but if somebody has crooked teeth, they can't fix it in 5 seconds. And it was just talking about how you can help others, and how sometimes comments or like thoughts that you have, you shouldn't actually say them. And like reading through those 5-second rules, it made me think about, you know, people's weight or body size. You know, they can't change that in 5 seconds. So who are we to say something to them about it? You know, I don't know. It's kind of like, you know how people say words are like toothpaste. Once it comes out, it can't go back in.
No, I never heard that. I like that.
Yeah. Words are like toothpaste. Once it goes out, it can't come back in. I always kind of try to remind myself of that.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. Kind of, I guess directly relating to that, there was something that I included in here just to briefly talk about, and I guess a little disclaimer, you know, like, everything with science is like constantly changing, and like there's still a lot of things about health and physical health that we don't, you know the full picture of. But something that I've been kind of looking into recently is the health at every size movement, and kind of talking with, like, you know, with physical health, it's not always something that we can just visibly see. And this movement is more just about de-emphasizing weight loss as a health goal and reducing the stigma towards people who are overweight or obese. And there was actually a study done in 2006 by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and they had people placed into a group of where they did the Health at Every Size program, or they did like a traditional weight loss program. And the differences were, women in the weight loss program were instructed to eat less, to count calories, exercise more, while the women in the other group were encouraged just to, listen to their body, eat when they're hungry, appreciate the feeling of fullness, and find like physical activity that was enjoyable to them. And they were not given like a list of foods that they could or could not eat. And they were also just given techniques to build their self-esteem and increase their confidence. And this was a 2-year study, and after 2 years, both groups weighed approximately the same, but the women in the weight loss group lost weight after 6 months and began to regain it after 2 years. And the women in the other group, even though they were the same weight, they had healthier blood pressure, they had lower cholesterol, and they were more physically active than they were before. So that just goes to show, like, people can be healthy at different weights, and it doesn't necessarily have to mean like we were talking about, like having a 6-pack or being super skinny or going on a 5K every 6 months or whatever. So, yeah.
Like speaking on that topic, we've kind of touched base on this in other episodes, but no matter who you are, how you look, how smart you are, how old you are, how young you are, people are going to have an opinion about you. No matter how big, no matter how small, people are going to say something about your size. Like me, I've always been littler growing up. You need to eat more. You need more meat on your bones. Or if somebody was bigger, you need to eat less, eat healthier. So I think that it's no matter, you can't win in today's society. And I think it is up to us as the next generation to start uplifting and empowering people. Encourage them to be healthier, and by be healthier, that doesn't mean eat less or eat more. That means going to the doctor, like we've talked about, taking care of yourself, like with wellness, drawing, reading the book, going outside, doing yoga, meditating. Just all of that plays into your physical health. And while Charles was reading that, it made me also think that food is a privilege. I'm lucky to never have had to grow hungry, and there are people that struggle with that every day. There are people, when we go to the schools or go to our service sites to serve, they don't have food. The only time that they have food is when they are at school. And it's, I've struggled with disordered eating before in the past, and it's made me just like sitting here talking about this. Food is such a privilege. And it makes me sad to think that I have taken that for granted or chosen not to have eaten food in the past. So I just if you're struggling with that, just realize that food is a privilege and something that not everyone gets. And I think some people, they would do anything to have a snack or food at home. So just, I don't know, just hearing you read that, it really struck a chord with me. I don't know.
I'm glad that you shared that. That's really important for people to hear.
Yeah, definitely. And another thing, with listening to what Charlie was saying about the two different groups, it is proven that the difference between forcing yourself to be physically healthy and going to the gym, because like I said, that's what most people associate it with, compared to that group of people who are forcing themselves to go to the gym. I always heard that it's it gets easier after you go for so long and things like that, and it does, but you are more likely to succeed at practicing physical health when you're doing things that you want to do. You do not have to go to the gym, like we said earlier. That's not the only way to stay physically fit. It's not the only way to stay physically active. I cannot talk today, guys. So do what your body wants to do. Don't force it to go to the gym at first. If you want to work your way up to that, then that's fine. Start by going small, like walking so much every day, or riding a bike, or things like that. Don't just automatically jump in, because one, that's how you get burnt out, and that's how you get tired. and then you're going to be less likely to achieve that physical goal that you want.
Something that I just thought of when you're talking was I've been working with a dietitian with like food and exercise, just to have like a healthier relationship with it. And one thing she challenged me to do was like to think about what physical activity I liked as a kid and try to like do those things more rather than just forcing myself to like maybe go to the gym or anything like that. And I think that's a good idea for anybody to try. Like if you want to see like what physical activity you like, maybe try what you did as a kid and see like, you know, if it's fun still or if there's something else you want to do too.
I don't know if this is like the human services and counseling major in me, but like that reminds me of like Freud and like past experiences and stuff. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But I think that is interesting. Like as a kid, I loved to go outside and throw softball with my dad, and we haven't done that since I was a little girl. And honestly, like I miss doing that with him. So I think that is a good idea.
I remember when Celia was talking, I thought of the episode of Full House when DJ Tanner was. I don't remember why she was. I think someone making fun of her because she wasn't even overweight. She wasn't even big at all. Like I don't know why she thought to go to the gym and like to think she had to lose weight, but she was going to the gym, which is good for her. Not the way she should have done it though. But while she was at the gym, she has not. I think she didn't eat like a solid week or a day, like for a long period of time. And it just reminded me of when she was talking that like if you're gonna work out, make sure you're also like eating right and drinking water and then doing all this stuff. There's all necessary things for your body too. Not just of course exercising, but also make sure you have everything else going on, like eating and of course drinking water too. It just kind of reminded me that when you said that.
And you know, keeping up with like your dietary intake as well. Like my roommate my first year, we played softball here at Lindsay, and she cracks me up. She knows that her sugar drops easily. And she was out there and we were running sprints and things like that, and all of a sudden I seen her go and she hit the ground. And everybody's freaking out. I knew exactly what was wrong because like I said, like she knows her sugar gets low. And so it's always important for you to make sure, like, if you do have sugar issues that where your glucose drops and things like that, like you have to keep up with that. You have to eat. She always has peanut butter in her bag because peanut butter is actually one of the best things to eat when your sugar gets low. So she always has peanut butter crackers or like the little like Skippy peanut butter balls or whatever. Just because she knows that after she does so much physical activity, she starts to feel run down, she starts to feel fatigued, she gets dizzy, and then she eventually blacks out. So it's important to make sure you are drinking that water and you are eating, especially if you know you have sugar problems.
I don't know what you said that made me think of this. But I'm going to say it. I was sitting here thinking about that, but also I personally, like, I want to go to the gym. Like, I would love to go to the gym 3-4 times a week, but I'm so self-conscious of going to Lindsay's gym. And I was sitting here thinking, you know what? Instead of going to the gym, I could just go up and down this hill. Because let me tell you, this hill, Lindsay students and alumni know this hill wears you out. So if you're like me, too scared to go to the gym, this hill, there's your slip.
Walk a few times.
Man.
Especially if you have an 8 a.m. leadership class.
Man, I remember those days. It's snowing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only time it was worth it was when, Schmitty, if you're watching this, I don't know if you are, but if you are, the only time it was worth it walking down this hill was when you brought donuts.
Physical activity for a donut? Yes.
Sure worth it.
It's true.
Oh, goodness.
You gotta reward yourself too, guys.
Yeah.
Make sure you do that. You know,
Yeah.
I do that all the time. I will go to the gym. The next thing I know, I'm in cookout getting a milkshake. It just happens.
That's really funny. Except with me, it's not cookout. It's going shopping. Like it's retail therapy.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah. But I am guilty. Like today, which like I've said, like I do have a little bit of disordered eating. And I'm trying to work through it, but today day I was thinking, like, I'm gonna go through cookout and I'm gonna get cheese fries for lunch and I'm not gonna eat anything until dinner tonight and like I'll eat a little dinner. Well, I got the cheese fries from cookout. I didn't eat anything and then I got home tonight and my mom fixed the best meal ever. And let me tell you, I ate it all up and I do not regret it. I do not regret it.
And you should.
Hey, would anybody like to add anything else to this episode? Well, Bree, thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
It was really nice to have you as our special guest for this week's episode. If no one has anything else, then I guess this podcast episode is done.
We are still going to add our crisis hotlines down in the description. We will always do that every episode. And also, if you decide you want to like start working out or you want to start eating healthy, I highly suggest like going to a dietitian like Charlie does. You know, they are wonderful at their job, especially because they build it around you. So I recommend that. And like if you need numbers, I work at a hospital. I work with them every day. So and also if you want a workout regimen, I'm pretty good at them. I don't always follow through, but I'm pretty good at making them just because of my years in sports and stuff. So come talk to me and I will help you build up to where you want to be. So yeah.
Don't come talk to me. I mean, I will support you. I'll support you. I'll be like, yes, do it, girl. Like, I will empower you. But I might need to go to you for the physical.
Yeah.
But, so, like Celia and Charles, we have talked about dietitians. It made me think. I'm guilty of this. Like, if I want to lose weight or, like, work out at home, like, I'll type in, like, workout videos or how to lose weight quick, how to lose weight in a week or something. Do not search that up. Those are not healthy ways. Those are not good ways. So like we've talked about, going to a dietitian, I've never thought of that, but now like hearing you talk about it, like I honestly think it is a really good idea rather than looking it up on the internet.
Oh yeah, it's like been probably one of the most helpful things for me in terms of like trying to develop a healthier relationship with food and exercise. And we are like limited in that with where we are in Kentucky and everything, but there are still resources. And also in this, actually in the resources list, there is a link and I think phone number for the NEDA, National Eating Disorder Association. So if you have any problems with that or like you think you may be struggling, there is that resource there. So.
And I also would like to point out, I know that I have mentioned this in a previous episode, and so has Charlesy. I have struggled with an eating disorder, and if somebody is watching this and feels like they don't have anyone to talk to, or please reach out to one of us. That is what this podcast is for. It's not just for T&E hours or, you know, it's not just hours for Bonner. We are doing this because we want to be there and show that whatever you're going through in life, it's okay, and that wellness and all of these different topics that we have talked about or are going to talk about, they're important. So if you feel like you want to talk to one of us, we do not hesitate. None of us here, including Brie.
Yeah.
I know any of our guests that come on this podcast, they feel the same way or they would not be on the podcast, you know. And also, I want to go ahead and like just give a shout out. I was thinking about this earlier today. Being on this podcast has given me the opportunity to be vulnerable. It's given you the opportunity, and also our guests. So I just want to thank you all for letting us be vulnerable with you and sharing our own experiences. And I hope that it can help somebody.
Absolutely. We want you guys to know you're not alone. Like, we've all been through things, and that's the worst feeling in the world, is feeling like you're alone and that you have nobody to talk to. Because I promise you, your feelings are valid. Your, whatever you're struggling with, it's okay to talk about. And that's what we're here for. And I promise you, it's not just us. Anyone on the BLT, anyone in Bonner, I'm sure. And like, you know, even if it's just talking to your best friend, you know, make sure you're talking to somebody because it will help you so, so much.
Yes. And even though this is technically a Bonner podcast, I know that this is going to be available for like the students, staff of Lindsay to see. Even if you're not in Bonner, even if we have never spoken, it would literally mean the world to me if this podcast can just help one person, even if we have never talked or we're not really that close or friends. Please come speak to me or one of us.
Yes.
Like this podcast is not just specifically for boners; it is for everyone.
Yeah.
I would like to just make that point.
And if you don't think you have anybody, anybody on this right here, we will have you. You will be in our corner.
Yes.
I promise.
And also, I want to point this out too. Even if you are not a boner and this podcast speaks to you, you can email or talk to one of us if you would like to be a guest on this podcast.
Yeah.
It's not specifically just for boners. I would like to make that out there.
We would love to have anybody. We would love to hear your story. If you
Yes.
just want to be vulnerable or help other people out by telling your story, it's the perfect way to do it.
Absolutely. All right, guys.
Okay, I think that is officially it. Okay, and remember our slogan, guys, our little catchphrase.
A happy person has a healthy mind. Bye.